So now the scientists put another monkey. Okay, and this monkey hangs around, gets hungry, sees the banana. He knows nothing about the ice cold water, right? So he runs towards the ladder, but the first monkey, who's much bigger than it, beats him up and beats him up real bad. Again, this happens 2-3 times. Every time he goes, he beats him up. Now the scientists put a third monkey, right? And the third monkey knows nothing about the whole thing. So when he gets hungry, he tries. But something interesting happens. The first 2 monkeys beat him up, right? The second monkey's never been hosed, but he beats him up too. Now slowly, the scientists keep putting one additional monkey. Pretty soon there are 5-6 monkeys in that room. And every time any monkey goes towards the ladder, the other monkeys catch him up and beat him up. So as if they weren't having enough fun, they remove the first monkey from the room. So you now have a situation where all the monkeys in the room, none of them have been hosed, because the only monkey that was hosed was the first one. Right? But every time a monkey goes towards the ladder, the others catch him and beat him up. What do you think is going on? What did the monkeys accept? I think they think if they could speak and you went to these monkeys and asked them, why are you beating each other up? I think they'd say, we don't know, but this is how things are done around here. They basically accept the status quo. Have you heard the word status quo? The way things are. So basically they accept the status quo. Why am I telling you this story? Because the first rule of entrepreneurship is to not accept the status quo. The world is not the way we see it. Right? The chair you're sitting on, the car or the bus that you came to school in, these were all invented by somebody. Right? So it is what you make of it, not what you see. Everything around you has been created or thought of by somebody else. So you can wish the world to be whatever it is. If you imbibe the trait of questioning the status quo. Why does a fan have 3 blades, for example? Is there another way to be more optimal? In fact, I just invested in a company that's doing exactly that. They think this is inefficient. But nobody's questioned this in hundreds of years. So if you imbibe the trait of questioning the status quo, and you look around you and you question everything, then to your point, you'll come up with a lot of ideas. And that's the start. Is to have a lot of ideas. And when you find that one idea that you're so passionate about that you cannot let go, that's the time you start towards becoming an entrepreneur. So if you found your idea and you've developed the ability to work on it and become an entrepreneur, what's going to keep you there? Execution. Yeah, absolutely. But sometimes you execute very well. In my own life, this has been true. But you still fail. Like when I was very young, I started 3 businesses. When I was 13, younger than you, I started my first business. I failed spectacularly. When I was 15, I started something else. I failed again. Then, I was very brash and I thought it was the problem here with India. So I went to Europe as a late teenager thinking I'd make it on my own. I failed again. I went to the US, I failed again. I thought I was executing well, but I still kept failing. And after I founded my company, right, there was a global financial crisis in 2008 and we pretty much lost everything we had built in about 8-10 years. So sometimes you can execute really well, but have a lot of bad luck. These are great points. Right? I speak to people who are in their 20s and 30s and I don't get these responses. So something right your teachers are doing, that you're bang on. But I promise you, luck can get you there, but it's you who will keep you there. It's luck that got you to this school. You won the genetic lottery. You were born in a family that could afford to send you there. Right? Most people don't have that luxury or that privilege. But to keep you successful depends on you. I'll tell you a quick story. I went to the US for education. I remember the first day in school, and I was pretty shaken up because I had failed in 3 businesses already. But the first day in college, I was sitting in class, and there was this teacher called Susan, and she asked a question, and she explained the solution. And this friend of mine, colleague or guy I just got to know more, he didn't even raise his hand, and he said, "Susan, I don't agree with you." I was shocked. You call your teachers by their first name? So when I grew up in school and college, we were never going to even think about saying, "I don't agree with you." We get a duster thrown at us if we say, "I don't agree." Right? It was very top down, very authoritative. This is 30 years back. Right? Now you can, which is amazing. So for me, it was like this incredible door portal had opened. I thought he was going to get into trouble because not only is he calling the teacher by her first name, he's saying, "I don't agree with you." But the teacher actually asked him why. And then she turned to me and asked me, "What is your opinion on this situation?" And I had an opinion, and she encouraged every opinion. And that day a light went off, saying that, look, there are so many different ways and things that you can think about. It's not just one right or wrong way. And everybody's opinion matters. Right? And your point about belief, this is what creates belief. When you start believing your opinion matters. Right? And then you take little steps. Then I joined a company there called MicroStrategy. Within 2 years, I went from the bottom. I joined as a consultant to director of strategic partnerships. Along the way, I built many products and services. So keep building. Whether it's an internship, whether it's a little gadget, right? Whether it's clothes, whatever, projects. Every little thing will give you belief. And why is belief important? Because when things go bad, it's your belief and your confidence that will allow you to keep going on. कहते हैं ना, विश्वास के बिना आदमी 10 कदम भी नहीं चल सकता. So how can you be an entrepreneur? So belief is a very important ingredient. But let's move to, I think we're going to run out of time, but you can find success through luck. You win a lottery ticket, you end up in a school like that. But what keeps you there? I learned this, way back in college. I had a friend called Pintu. So Pintu always had a date, and we were all very jealous of the fact because, neither was he good looking or, tremendously charming or anything. And the book didn't make that sound, but it had a lot of pages and a lot of numbers scribbled in the book. And I pretty much realized that we had every girl in college his number in that book. And so he picked up the phone, and he called the first number, and he said, "Hi, a picture." And for a guy who was shy like me, I just thought I was dying listening to that. So he just randomly called. I could hear her voice because the receiver was loud. And she said, "Yeah, what's this?" He said, "Pintu." Jeez. But this did not faze him at all. He picked up the phone again. He called another number. He said, "Hi, Annie." She said, "Yeah, what's this?" He said, "Pintu." She's like, "Who Pintu?" She said, "Pintu from your class. We take biology together." Like, "Oh, that Pintu, what you love." This guy was still smiling. And I was completely shaken out. I wanted the ground to open up and swallow. I was so embarrassed. My ego was so low. Although it was not me who was doing it, it was them. But still, we kind of started identifying. Next, he called again, "Shut up. Hi. Who's it? Pintu, same story. Pintu who? Oh, we're in class together." So why did you call me? She said, "Oh, I wanted to ask you out. I would go out with you," and she met her. picks up the phone and he calls again. This time, girl called Pooja. So I Pooja, student is in the class. He says, oh yeah, what do you want? He says, what are you doing tomorrow? She says, why? He says, I want to ask you out. So maybe Pooja had nothing to do that weekend, nobody had asked her out. She said, hold on. She came back after a minute to the phone and she said, sure, what time? He said, 8 o'clock. I was like, oh my God. I could not believe that he got a date. Simply like, you do that, don't you? I can see your friend saying that's you. That's you, right?
It's a good plan.
Huh?
It's a good plan.
It's a good plan. But this is not the end of it. This is what happened next. And this almost, I'm not kidding, I want to throw myself off the window. He turns to me, he says, Pooja, hold on. He puts his hand on the
speaker.
Not on the receiver, but on the phone. And he says, those are your violence. And he says, do you want to date as well? He says, are you mad? She couldn't go out and go for. So I didn't say anything. He says, hold on. He goes back to the phone and he says, Pooja, what is Payal, your sister, doing tomorrow? So he says, she says, what? He says, no, one of my friends, wanted to go out as well, and so I thought 4 of us. She said, hold on. Comes back, and just like that,
You have
we
a
both
date.
had a date.
That's good.
I thought this was some magical secret I was going to unlock. And just that simply, we both had a date. I couldn't wait to tell all the others. But what do you think